Welcome to The Growth Equation. This isn't your typical business podcast. We're keeping it real about the challenges of scaling up, period. I'm Tristan Wright and I've been there. I've built and scaled my own business. I've sold it. I've learned a ton along the way. Now I'm bringing you the no BS stories of founders who are in the trenches right now, navigating that messy middle. We're talking advertising, marketing, design, creative, branding, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or running a team of 100. Everyone's got a secret sauce. That thing that makes them different, better. We're going to uncover it. So grab a coffee and let's get real. Today we're talking with Michael Preece from BNAA, a business networking group down in Tasmania. I don't normally have business networking organisers on the podcast, so we've got something different today. It's going to be a bit of an interesting one. Michael, how are you, mate?
Excellent, Tristan. Thanks for having me on board, mate.
My pleasure. Now, you don't have two heads. You're from Tasmania. What's wrong with you, mate? You've
removed at birth, mate. Absolutely. Yeah, it's always it's one of the processes down here. I mean, it's a long-standing joke for Tasmania, and it is a bit of a joke, but it's a lot different down here now because there's a lot more people that live that have come here to live from other areas around Australia or overseas. So it's great.
Especially in the last 5 years, there's just been so many. The property market has grown significantly. Probably maybe a bit more than 5 years, 6 or 7 years. It's just gone phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been from a obviously I look at things from a business perspective a lot of the time, and it's been really fascinating watching the development of Tassie as a whole over the last probably 20 years really, and yeah, it's obviously accelerated, and there's been some factors involved there with COVID that have changed the dynamics down here.
Tell us about BNAA and even before that, your journey as an individual, a business owner. How did you get into this?
Yeah, that is a long story. It depends on how far you want to go back. So it's close. It's very close. Yeah, I'm quite a bit older than what a lot of people think I am. And I started in business 43 years ago. I was 1 year old at the time, of course. But no, I started in business 43 years ago as a professional photographer, which was great. And I did that for 20 odd years, pretty much full time for most of that period. And that led me to the initial journey in sales, and it was all about marketing yourself and marketing your product and producing a product that really resonated with your client base, because it's very much an emotional connection that you want to generate. Because I worked in wedding portrait. That was the area that I was pretty well exclusively in. I didn't do massive amounts of product or definitely not scenery. It's not something, although I enjoy doing a bit of that, but it's has not been my professional journey in any way, shape or form. But it was really that grounded me with the ability to sort of understand people from clients from an emotional perspective, and that's been really good with the other sales journeys that I've gone on since getting sick of weddings, actually. So that was when you get to 250 odd, which I know a lot of photographers have probably done a lot more than that than I did, but you get to 250 odd, and then it was like, nah, it's done. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, funnily enough, that's something I did learn from the process of being a photographer, is that if you know your product really well, and you like as I said, photography is very much an emotional thing, especially wedding portrait, where you sit down, you meet the clients or the potential clients before the event. You get to build a relationship with them, and through showing them your product and your service, you build that relationship, and then you end up, on average, booking people that you actually get on with, that actually your product, your service resonates, and they resonate with you. And as a consequence, what I used to find is that the majority of weddings were really, really good. And I
As
got
long
on
as you know your service, your offer, and your target audience, how you work and you communicate that clearly.
absolutely, absolutely. So it was something that I was very fortunate to go through that experience way back then, and that's moved through with me through most of my business and sales life. And then after getting out of photography, even though I still occasionally dabble with the odd pro job, but very very rarely now. And it's been there with me. That experience has changed the way I engage with pretty well all the types of sales work that I've done, and which has been great.
Yeah, yeah. So you learned through photography how to understand people and form your offer and how to communicate. Then you went into sales. Was your sales career running your own business, or was that working for someone else?
Combination. So it was multiple things that we did over the years, both for myself, but then also for other organisations, and that's been. Again, some of that was very scripted in the way that, like when I worked for other organisations, it was very scripted in the way I had to present things, and it was fascinating observing how overcoming objections, and because it was scripted, the scripting should have solved those objections. But what actually happened is, although I personally didn't get many of the same objections, I knew some of the sales teams that I was working in, some of them would get exactly a particular objection from the majority of the clients they were working with. And I realised it's often that sort of thing is what comes out of your own personal viewpoints on aspects of sales. Some people wouldn't like to sign something. Some people wouldn't like to pay a particular fee. And it was actually the salesperson that was projecting that onto their clients, either through hesitation or through, just putting a word in at the wrong time. And I found that fascinating to understand that. And it's all flowed through. And then eventually I've come back to working for myself, both as a sales consultant some years ago, and then joined BNAA at the very outset when it was getting started. Helped the guy set it up, and there was a group of us that helped him set it up, and then I became his assistant director straight up through that process. And then after 2 years, when he couldn't continue on for various personal reasons, I took it over. So I've owned the gig for 11 years now, and been full time. It was always something I did on the side for a little while, for quite some time, and then COVID changed that. And since basically all the COVID restrictions lifted, I've progressively moved to a point where BNAA is the only thing I do now.
That's awesome. Now, I think I mentioned I've never been the biggest fan of networking, especially the one with or business networking events, especially the one that's got 3 letters. I I feel like they're uh, almost cultish in a way. So uh, you're going to tell me yours is a tiny bit different. I want to hear how networking groups, how they can actually work, or how yours is different.
I think one of the key things that I really focus on with helping the membership base understand is that because with a lot of networking groups, there's a lot of focus on referrals, and to the point where the referral, you've got to give a referral at some stage. So it's almost a demanding thing. You come to a meeting, you've got to bring a referral. Well, first of all, I don't believe in that, because I think that just puts the membership base under pressure to actually supply something that often is a crap referral, because it's not qualified, it's not warm, it's just something that they run into somebody in the street and there's some minor comment about something they could be interested in. So the way I prefer to look at it is, rather than sort of producing something, a contact out of almost out of thin air and saying, oh, you need to go and have a talk to this guy or this lady or person. And then it ends up going nowhere and you end up having your time wasted. What I prefer to see is the membership base actually educating each other about themselves, about and getting to build really, really strong relationships and understanding each other's businesses really well. And as a consequence, over time, through the membership base dealing with their contact spheres, they will uncover opportunities that are actually legitimate, that are warm, that there is some real key opportunity for other members within their group to actually do business with them. And right at the moment, our stats are sitting around about 63, nearly 64% of all referrals that go through the system as being successful. Now,
that's a pretty decent number.
Yeah, if you equate, because not every referral is going to end up being business. There is going to be the odd time where for whatever reason there is a mismatch, and we know that not every referral is going to come to fruition. However, the fact that we've got well over 50% of referrals being closed off and generating some income for the membership base indicates that there's a really strong relationship between the understanding of the members of each other's businesses and when they run into somebody out in the field, out in the market that has a problem or has a need, then the members are able to match those individuals up, match the prospect with the right member on a much higher basis, and that's great, and I think that's gold.
Yeah. Now, let's go back to growing the business. So you took it over 2 years in, effectively, and that was not 11 years ago. How big was it at the time, and how big is it now? Whether we're talking member base, or locations, because there would have been you would have scaled it to a point, would have dropped back, would have grown. I want to understand the journey that you've taken the business on, what's worked and what hasn't worked.
Yep, sure. Well, pre-COVID, because it's sort of like AD/BC sort of thing. It's sort of pre-COVID. The business, as I said, was always something I did on the side, and so it was just an extra thing that I did. And so we ended up having 4 groups around the state, and I don't think the membership never got much more than about 15 to 20 members per group. During the COVID period, we contracted everything back just to one group. We'd sort of there was no physical capability and no understanding of how long the COVID situation would last. So we just simply contracted it back to my local group. I'm based in Launceston, and we had one morning group here, and I think we ended up with about 17 members at the end of COVID by the time circumstances changed for everybody, and that was it. Yeah. Now, after the restrictions started to lift, and I could see this particular group was really starting to kick off. There was a lot of people coming in, and I thought, well, this is getting quite exciting. It may be time to start thinking about restarting the other groups that I had previously, and looking at putting some new groups in. And so over the last 3.5 years, I've been progressively reopening those old groups that I had way back then, with pretty much all new members. I've got 2 groups in Launceston, 2 groups in Hobart, 2 groups in Devonport, and 1 up in Burnie. And we're looking at a 3rd group down in Hobart. So, and the largest group at the moment is sitting at 47 members, and those other groups are in various stages of growth depending upon how old they are, and we're sort of heading towards the 20 plus with 4 or 5 of those, and then there's a couple of new development groups as well. So it's a process, but it's exciting, and I love doing it, and I love seeing the interactions that come out of the members building strong relationships, and also interacting with everybody that sort of comes in either as visitors or actually stays with us as members. So it's exciting to have that, and continue to grow the organisation statewide.
What was it like for you when it contracted, and then when you realised that you could actually go full time on it and start making a real career out of this? Let's say.
It was exciting. It's been really funny because I've engaged off and on with networking organisations for, let me see, 20 years now. And it was funny. I always had this inner feeling that I would love to do it as an owner. The opportunity never presented itself, and then until 11 years ago, and it was a good time to do it because rather than having to say take on a franchise or something, I could take on something that I could build in my own image or my own business with my business ethos and how I believe relationships should be built, and making sure that it actually resonated in the way that I want it to resonate with my client base, but also with the local regional area as well, and how we do business down here.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you've got your target market, you've got your niche, and it's got to be focused on them, not how the other businesses operate. It's got to be targeted. Everyone works slightly differently.
Absolutely. And I, there's a bit of talk about, the way we do business in Tassie and that, and I understand that, but I would guarantee you, if you went to regional Australia, like out the back of Queensland or, South Australia or WA or somewhere where it's a smaller area, there would be that relationship-based engagement with the membership, or with the market there, with the customer base and all the businesses. It would be who knows who, and it's regional Australia all over. It's just that the majority of Tasmania is regional Australia. That's the reality. There's so many people that who knows who. They talk about the various levels of engagement and how long it's going to take you to get in contact with everybody. Well, in Tassie, it's probably only 2 or 3 people you would need to talk to, and you'd be able to get in contact with the majority, down the track. So there's not many levels of separation from us down here, because physically we're only a couple of 100 kilometres apart.
Yep.
In any direction.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting. Now, you were talking about before off air. We're talking about the platform that you've been building, because how, like, obviously you've got the front end where everyone meets,
Yep.
but you've been building a platform in the back end, and I imagine that's been stressful, and you've gone through iterations and changes along the way.
Yeah. Mark's the guy that set the organisation up in the beginning. He was an IT guy, and it was great. He put together a lovely little. I shouldn't undersell it. Actually, it was a great system of interaction. So all our referrals and all the contact that we do within the membership base is tracked within this website, and through what we call the member portal. And that's been absolutely fantastic. And we've done some upgrades and to that, but it was getting to a point where it was way too old. It was built on a platform that was not easily able to be edited and updated now. And for quite a few years, I'd had plans of doing a total rebuild and putting a whole heap of different things into it, products and services or features that were going to be, particularly useful to the membership base to help them grow their connectivity and their relationships. But pre-COVID, we just didn't have the numbers to make it justifiable in spending the dollars. And now, over the last couple of years, we've got to that point where I'm very happy to invest the money into a complete rebuild of the website and the member portal that manages those interactions. And we just literally released it.
How much have you been using AI for the development of this at all, or have you gone old school?
Old school, mate. I'm too old. AI is I have delved into AI, and there is some things that I've got from a training perspective that I will be doing now that the new website is pretty well done. I will be using AI to help with the training side of that. But when it's come to excuse me, when it's come to the ideas about how to do things, I want it to be original as possible. And the challenge with AI, you can say it's very intelligent, or you can look at it another way. It's very stupid, because all it is doing is just accumulating everybody else's ideas, and that's I'm fearful of that. And I've had a recent story where one of the members who does website development, and they just use WordPress, so they're not the guys that are working on my portal at the moment, because that's a custom thing. But yeah, and they said they were one of the other members said, "Oh, have a look at their website and have a look at this." We just did it by AI, and they realised that the AI had copied one of their own websites. So all it had done was just basically looked in the local area, found somebody in the category of website that needed to be created, and basically just ripped the copy from that website and pasted it into the new website with a different client. And it turns so there's a whole range of copyright issues that come up around that. And
it's all about rubbish in, rubbish out. If good quality content gets put in, it will work. But if not, you'll get rubbish out of it. So,
and the other thing is, AI has no emotional connection with what you're creating.
Correct.
All right. So as a consequence, when you create, you come up with an idea or a feature or a product and service, it cannot work out what the emotional connection is going to be with that product or service, or how people are going to react. It's great for, if you're just selling widgets to whatever to put in a I don't know, in a car or something like that. That might be a different gig. But if you have something that has emotion involved in it, AI cannot. I haven't, put it this way, I have not seen anything yet that would guarantee that AI would have any idea of what the emotion.
Off the shelf, definitely not. You can program it in to an extent, but definitely not off the shelf.
No. So if you're just using basic ChatGPT or something like that, yeah. And over time, it does get to understand more of what you're looking for, and I do understand that. But I still think about what I'm creating needs to resonate with the people that I personally know and the environment that I understand. And so, I'm not using any AI at the moment.
Have there been times as you've been growing the business that you're like, nah, this is too much. I'm going to go back to sales or to photography?
Very limited. Yeah, very limited. I love what I do. I love, at heart, I class myself as an introvert. So I get energy from being either alone or just with friends or family, close friends or family. I do love being alone or just playing out in the garden or something like that, or going for a walk or whatever, listening to some, relaxing music or something. So being alone, that's where I get my energy from. So being the owner of a networking organisation that constantly meets with multiple groups around the state and having to engage with people all the time, it can get a bit challenging sometimes, and it has done. But that's part of the game and part of the opportunity too, in that you just balance that out with what you do outside of the meetings. And I have a fairly regimented routine that we go through. Depends on how many meetings I've got in that particular area. But yeah, it's about 35,000 a year. I think I'm doing K's wise.
Yeah, so not too bad. Where do you see the group going over the next 5 years?
It's Yeah, it's huge opportunity. I think I'd love to see all the groups hitting the 40 plus membership. As I said, we've got a few development groups. We're still very much in that growth stage after COVID, and it's re-establishing the groups, finding the right people in the areas to be members, because you do have to have the right people. But I think, growth wise, we'd love to have all the groups at that level in Tassie. There's probably room for another couple of groups here, so that'll bring us up to probably 10, maybe 12 maximum, I think, in Tassie. From a geographic perspective and the number of businesses, I reckon we can get to that. And then obviously, if the right people come up, we'd love to take it to the mainland. And there's certainly some opportunity there, because I do really feel we've got a different product. Yeah, different offering, definitely, that will probably resonate with a lot of people. Yeah, definitely.
If you were to give business owners one piece of advice, what's that one piece of advice you would give them?
One piece. I think it's funny. I just recently, we've got one of the members ran into somebody that he follows on Instagram, and he's very fan based, and it's something that in different words I've always believed in anyway. But what this guy said to this member was put your opinions, sort of always put things aside, never prejudge a situation. And in other words, don't necessarily layer your own opinions or something on your potential growth, or never restrict. In other words, never restrict yourself. Always believe that there's opportunity to grow. Never say that there isn't, because there may be a challenge. There may be some people that might be, there might be some obstacles in the way there. But there's pretty well always a way around it, and that's really one of the key things. And sometimes it's timing, sometimes it's self-education, sometimes whatever it is. I think just never believe that you can't do it in the end, and just stick to it, and the opportunities will come up and present themselves, and be positive about it.
That's awesome. Yeah. So don't come in with preconceived conceptions. Make sure you're open-minded, and then gather the data. Go from there.
Yep, absolutely. The analogy I like to use sometimes: growing business is like growing a tree, right? And over time, your tree grows, and it's got all these different branches to it. And in those branches are your products, your services, the clients you utilize and that utilize your services, and there's a whole range of different things and aspects of how you deal with the tax department, how you deal with all those different things, all those the admin side, and it's like this big tree. But every so often, one branch will head in a direction that maybe is not right. And you need to, just like a tree withdraws, if it gets damaged, it withdraws as much energy back out of it, and you have to cut it off. And sometimes you need to prune it. And sometimes you need to do that with your business. You need to prune aspects that you've gone out on a limb, and it's like, no, that one's not really working. Maybe I need to withdraw back, cut that one off, and we'll head. And we all know, if anybody listening that's a bit of a gardener will know, that sometimes a good prune really, really helps the tree.
Yeah.
And it's very much the same with that analogy, is very much the same with your business. Sometimes you do have to withdraw a bit.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome, mate. Thank you very much for your time today. If people want to get in touch, whether it's to join the group or to hear a bit more about your story, use your photography skills, or even expand into Victoria, what's the best way to connect?
Just go to the website, bnaa.net.au, and just reach out. There's a contact form there. That's the best way. Gives you a bit of an overview of all the different groups we've got around the state. It's a bit of fun, and just reach out.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Tristan. Good on you, mate. Bye for now.
Cheers. That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into The Growth Equation. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps us big time. Catch you next time. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content.